The current temperature right now in Fort Worth is 76 degrees, and it's not even noon. 76 was actually the high temperature yesterday. We have plenty of time to warm up today. So if you missed out on the good weather yesterday, go outside for the next, say, 10-15 minutes to experience 76 because it is going to warm up quite quickly as we head into the afternoon hours. Winds are already picking up out of the south right now at 21 miles per hour. You can see the camera shaking there just a bit. Now this camera is elevated, but also giving us a good idea of just the winds that are howling out there. So here's what you need to know about today. It's going to be drier, warmer, and windy in the afternoon, especially if you're west of DFW. There's a cold front that comes in tonight. It brings in that slightly cooler air for tomorrow, and we're staying rain-free until the end of the week when another front comes in to help bring in some rain. Here's how today plays out, though. The temperature does make it to about 78 degrees around midday. That's already warmer than what's considered normal for this time of the year. We make it to 89 degrees sometime between 3 and 4 in the afternoon with sunshine throughout the afternoon. Clear skies through the evening. Temperature dropping to about 75 around midnight with the south winds at around 15 to 30 miles per hour, but gusting higher than that, especially west of the area. High temperature today makes it to about 90 degrees in Fort Worth, 89 in Denton and in Dallas, 87 in McKinney, Terrell, 88 in Waxahachie. Temperatures into the mid-90s for our western counties. Our western counties, like I mentioned at the top of the hour, that is where we have an elevated fire threat. It's not just because of the above normal temperatures, but it's because of the winds that are gusting over 30 miles per hour, humidity dropping to about 10 to 20%, and just a dry vegetation in place that generally happens this time of the year when dormant vegetation kind of settles in. So just avoid any outdoor burning or any activities that could lead to sparks along our western counties. A look at our wind gust forecast for today. Like I mentioned, winds will be out of the south, 15 to 30, but at times will be gusting higher than that, 30, maybe even 35, 36 miles per hour. And that'll take place throughout the afternoon. In this evening, we're going to see the winds calming down just a tad, but we'll still see a breezy evening in store with temperatures dropping into the mid-70s, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so tonight is our next cold front, or the arrival of our next cold front. Today, we make it to 89. That's a whole 12 degrees warmer than normal. Our next front comes in, does not bring in any rain, but it does drop our high to 79 degrees on Tuesday. That's still technically warmer than normal for this time of the year by 2 degrees. On Wednesday, we see that temperature slowly climb about 80 degrees, 83 on Thursday. Our next front comes in late Friday, but ahead of the front, we're going to see a little cloud cover and even some rain, and that's what's going to help limit how much we warm. Still, about 7 degrees warmer than what's considered normal for this time of the year. So about 10% coverage of rain on Thursday, 20% coverage of rain on Friday. Between now and then, rain free. Our rain coverage is looking rather low for most of North Texas, but I'm going to be watching Friday late in the day going into Saturday along our northeastern counties, and I'll show you that. This is Thursday around 7 p.m. You see rain mainly along the west. It's about 10% coverage for us as that front slowly approaches. I'm going to take you into Friday afternoon because I know Friday afternoon, generally what happens, Friday night football games, right? This Friday, we're going to see that rain kind of hold off until late in the day, but you see that color right there, right along the Red River. That's where we could see some added rain, thunderstorms. So we'll be watching for the potential of strong storms there, but I'm not overly convinced that we'll see widespread rain or widespread severe weather or anything like that. Over the weekend, temperatures will climb into the low 80s. And as we approach Halloween, morning lows in the 50s, afternoon highs in the low 70s, a high near 72 on Halloween. One of the better looking ones I think we've had in previous years.
We do have a couple changes to walk you through this week. Rain chances are in the forecast. We're going to have some dry days with no humidity and other days that are pretty muggy and on the warm side. Houston being Houston. Today, no rain. We've got nice clear sunny skies. Tomorrow, cloud cover starts to roll back in. A 30% chance for you to see some showers. There's a front that's going to roll in here. That does take away the rain potential for Wednesday and Thursday. It also drops the humidity momentarily because it ramps back up into the weekend, and we do have some weekend rain chances. I know it's not exactly what you want to hear for the weekend, but we actually do need the rain for the drought monitor. Temperatures overall through the end of the month are going to generally stay above average. This is for a huge chunk of the country. Now, average temperature for us for this time of year should be 82 degrees, believe it or not. So today we are running 10 degrees above that, even warmer still for our Tuesday. So even though the next few days are technically above average for this time of year, we'll take it because at least we drop into the 80s. Mid to upper 80s for Wednesday all the way through the middle of the coming week. Notice there are some fluctuations in there, and that's to reflect the fronts that are going to come in. So some days are going to be a little warmer, a little bit more humid. We love these fronts this time of year because A, they drop humidity, B, they drop temperatures, and C, they're like a little protective barrier for the continental US. So anything that develops in the tropics, remember it's still hurricane season, gets deflected. So either the storms roll out to sea or they get pushed out west and fizzle out closer to Mexico, raining themselves out there. Either way, again, they get deflected away, which is great because we are actually tracking something in the Caribbean. That's where we're expecting to see our next named storm. There's now a high likelihood of that, an 80% chance of development. I don't think anything's going to happen over the next 24 hours, maybe not even over the next 48 hours. But as we do get closer to the Wednesday timeline, that's when the models are picking up on organization. That's what we would need in order for the storm system to get a name, get a designation. And if you were planning on doing any vacationing or if you have any work, travel that takes you to Haiti or the Dominican Republic, you are going to get hit with some pretty heavy rainfall. This is a look at Wednesday. And at that point, pretty confident that we'll get the next named storm, which is Melissa. Watch the forecast at least once a day. I know. This time of year, we definitely see things improve. For the Gulf, most of the systems steer away, but you know, it's not out of the question that something could sneak in closer to us at least. That maybe hikes up our potential for some rain, so we'll see. Over the area, temperatures couldn't be any better. So you'll notice we're in the 80s, a range of 80s, 83 for Conroe, 86 for Tomball. We're actually already starting to get a little bit warmer than where we were yesterday. This morning started off so beautifully. Our morning low at Bush Intercontinental Airport, I think, got down to 57, so that was really nice. Mid-50s for our northern cities and counties. Right now, though, 85 is 2 degrees warmer than where we were yesterday. And the breeze, look, it's already shifted. So it's coming in out of the north this morning, which is the reason why we had the nice dry air. Felt so comfortable, maybe even a little chilly. Some people with some light jackets out the door this morning. You've definitely gotten rid of those. The breeze out of the southeast at 11 miles an hour means the Gulf humidity is starting to build in. Dew points right now are in the low 60s for most. A few of us already climbing into the mid 60s. 66 for Katy, for Sugar Land 65, and Hobbies at 65. 67 for Galveston. This is the scale of humidity. Dew points measure moisture in the air. And when we're in the 60s, it's not bad. It's certainly not comfortable, but it's not too bad. Then it starts getting into that tropical feel category, and that's where we're going to be tomorrow. So throughout the day today into tomorrow, we're going to be building into that really, really tropical feel before the front rolls in and drops our humidity for our Wednesday. So here's a breakdown of the next 3 days. Your high temperature today, 92. We're at 93 tomorrow with humidity and a rain chance. And then behind that, we got a gorgeous day on tap. For our Wednesday, 84 degrees, and you will not have to worry about carrying an umbrella. So here's a look at future track for tomorrow. The rain potential starts picking up in the afternoon. So that's a snapshot at 2:30. I think through the commute home, think 5, 6 o'clock. Showers continue to blossom around Harris County and definitely favor the south side of the I-10 corridor. So closer to 288, down the Gulf Freeway. But it's not a big widespread rainmaker and it's not a lot of moisture. So that's why it's only a 30% chance for showers. And then we clear things up. I mean, not just with the rain, but with the humidity. Check this out. Starting off tomorrow morning, woo, it is really, really humid. But don't worry, that dry air is just on our heels. It'll take a minute to get here though. So tomorrow afternoon is really, really muggy. Tomorrow evening, though, into our Wednesday stays nice and dry, and it'll feel lovely. Now, we don't want it to be too dry because we do have to worry about our soils getting really dry and becoming much more combustible. So I'm talking about grasses, trees, brush. If they dry up, they become a fuel source for fires. And today our fire danger is very high in a lot of spots. So northern Harris County into Montgomery, Walker, San Jacinto, and a portion of Polk in that very high range. The rest of Harris County, at least under a high risk. The only spots that are in a moderate risk along the immediate coastline. That's because, well, there's more moisture there. Regardless, no burning for most of the area except for Brazoria and Galveston, although do exercise caution there as well. Everybody else is not allowed to burn under these really dry conditions, which have pushed us into a drought for quite a few areas. So western cities and counties, Washington, Austin, Colorado, into Wharton, at least under a moderate drought, but you see that pocket already slipping into a severe drought. Northeast Harris County, Montgomery, Liberty, Chambers, into Huntsville, Walker County, also under that moderate drought. We get a new drought report that comes in this Thursday, and if we don't see considerable rain, we will see conditions get worse. And we're really watching for the entire state, especially for our friends and family in Austin and San Antonio, which are slipping into the worst drought categories, extreme and exceptional. So definitely looking at long-term trends to see if we have any incoming moisture that could help the situation out. It looks like West Coast is going to get some above average rainfall. So this is the Pacific Northwest, Washington into Oregon, Northern California. Looks like the east side of the country also going to get a little bit above average rain from Tennessee into the Carolinas. Dry pocket though, unfortunately, for the desert Southwest into West Texas. For us here in Houston, maybe slightly above average, but pretty equal chances, which is what this gray is right there. So slightly above average rainfall expected. We'll hope that that comes to fruition, and that takes us all the way into the end of the month. 7-day forecast looks like this. All right, today's sunny. Started off really comfortable, nice and dry. We're building on the humidity a little bit. Tomorrow, that humidity is going to get scooped up by a front, bring us a 30% chance for some showers in the afternoon. I think time frame to watch is going to be between 2, maybe 6 and 7. 2 to 6, let's just call it that. Then our Wednesday, that's the pick of the week, I like to say. That is the day that you want to be outside. Starting off in the 60s, that's not bad. Not as great as it was this morning. But look at that high temperature, only makes it up to 84 degrees. And then as we head into the end of the week, that's when we start to see more humidity building in and more rain chances back in the forecast. 30% chance for Friday, 40 on Saturday. I'm thinking I'm going to add in another rain chance on Sunday. So check back in this afternoon. Meteorologist Pat Kavlin is on at 4. I am almost confident we'll put in that rain chance on Sunday. So that's why just make sure you're keeping updated twice a day if possible, in the morning and in the evening, because as we get closer to the timeline, the model runs get better and better.
Afternoons trending in the lower 90s, upper 80s. There are a couple of fronts to chat about tomorrow and later on Friday, but in the meantime, it's still pretty warm. Right now we're at 84. A nice sunny sky out there for any lunch plans. A few clouds overhead, not producing any rainfall. We do need the rain. Take a look. October has been historically dry this month. Matter of fact, we have no rain in the gauge at the airport or anywhere across San Antonio this month so far. And look at that. If we were to end October today, it'd be the driest October on record, ranking in on historical months like 1952 October of 2024. Last year, we only received 1/100 of an inch of rainfall. And years like 1898 and 1939, very dry October, so we're at 0. We do need rain, especially with ongoing drought out there right now. Our 85 feels like 87. It's a little breezy outside. We have a southwesterly wind at 14 miles an hour, keeping the air moving, some circulation in the atmosphere. This morning was comfortable. It wasn't as cool as what we previously thought. We had a warm front move through from the south, and cloud cover kind of ruined things for San Antonio. But look at the hill country. They stayed clear overnight, and that is because of just the weather setup, and that byproduct is cooler weather. I mean, Kerrville bottomed out at 50. Fredericksburg bottomed out at 49 degrees this morning. That was around 4 a.m. earlier this morning, and only 63 in San Antonio. Now we're at 85, 82 at Fredericksburg, 83 at Kerrville, 80 at Del Rio, near 90, if not already at that in George West. Carrizo Springs at 91 and 89 at Beeville. Okay, here are the wind speeds hour by hour this afternoon. A light breeze, nothing too concerning. Tonight and tomorrow morning, mostly quiet. But a weak boundary does move through tomorrow late morning into the early afternoon. That'll help wind speeds gust up to like maybe 20 to 25 miles an hour at times. Again, nothing too concerning, and that's the only thing we have to talk about because look at this. While temperatures do cool down, I mean, look at this, 92 today, 90 on Tuesday, and 87 on Wednesday. That frontal boundary only brings us a little closer to normal. Our average high this time of year is 80 to 81, and we're still at 87 on the coolest day this week. So we're still way above average. Here's the culprit, huge ridge of high pressure over Mexico and deep South Texas. That moves around a little bit. Now we look farther north towards like the Midwest for the cooler air masses and the more active weather systems. We have this dip in the upper level flow that moves in by about Friday night and Saturday morning. That'll drive in a weak boundary and provide a chance for rain and some slightly cooler temperatures. Not what we need though, because again, normal high this time of year is 80 to 81. By tomorrow, 90, 87 Wednesday, and then a little warmer on Friday with that chance for rain. A couple of spotty showers possible from Friday evening into early Saturday. Daytime highs back near 88 to 87 this weekend, and hopefully a little cooler by Halloween. Mornings trending in the 50s and daytime highs hopefully near average in the lower to middle 80s.
When it comes to our temperatures, we felt some cooler conditions yesterday. That is thanks to a front that moved on through Saturday evening. It was to the south of us, but it's now beginning to lift back north as a warm front and will continue to do so today, which of course, yes, it will bring us a rebound in those temperatures. As it's approaching, what we're also seeing is that breeze picking back up. We've had some gusts locally between 20 to 25 miles per hour, sustained winds today between 5 to 15 miles per hour. All that will lead to some slightly elevated fire danger across area. So just beware of that. It won't be hard for any kind of burns to perhaps and develop into anything pretty quickly with how dry our soils are. And we've got a lot of fuel certainly across the area. We're tracking this front lifting northward today, bringing us those warmer conditions. It'll be followed in by our second front, though. The first one moving through for Saturday, our second one set to move through tomorrow morning. And along that, unfortunately, not much rain, but we will be dealing with some cooler conditions behind it as we fall back into the 80s heading into this week. I wouldn't quite rule out a stray shower on Wednesday. Otherwise, though, no impacts really when it comes to the rain, but notice the temperatures. We do see about almost a 10-degree drop from today to Wednesday with those highs falling back into middle 80s. Notice, though, another rebound back into the 90s we go for Thursday and Friday, and then our third front moves through Friday into Saturday. From there, we go from the 90s back down to highs on Saturday. That'll be in the low to middle 80s. And I think it's Saturday's front that'll have the better potential overall of producing some rain across the area. Our computer model is still showing not a widespread drought-busting rain, but as we head into, here we go, Friday and Saturday, notice we start to see a little bit more green return to the map with some isolated showers and storms. Looking like a possibility for Friday into Saturday as we head into the end of the week. We're pretty quiet, though, in the meantime. Those isolated storms creeping back in for Friday afternoon. We could continue to see additional batches through your Saturday, and with that, not expecting again anything heavy for us. On average, I would say a few hundredths of an inch for most of us, up to a tenth of an inch. But some areas that do receive maybe some slightly heavier downpours could be picking up to around a quarter to a half an inch of rain. Out the door right now, a few passing clouds, 70s, low 80s, dew points on the rise, as well as our temperatures as we're starting to feel that warm and humid air make a comeback across across the area. Mostly sunny sky today with a nice breeze. That cold front starts to move through as we head into tomorrow. Cloudy and muggy to start, and then that cooler, drier air starts to filter in as we head into Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday. Highs today, middle 90s, mostly sunny. Tonight, the best we'll do is 70s for those overnight lows. A muggy start to what will be a cooler day tomorrow as we knock our highs back down to the upper 80s. Quick check-in on the tropics. We're tracking this robust tropical wave with a high chance of becoming our next tropical depression or storm. This has been deemed Invest 98L, so we do have model plots out on it. Too soon to know if it'll bring any kind of impact to the United States, but if you have interest off in the Western Caribbean, you'll need to monitor this closely over the next couple weeks here. Next name on the list, by the way, is Melissa for that next name storm. 7-day forecast. After our first front pushes through Wednesday, we continue to cool things down. A rebound for Thursday and Friday. Third front moves through, bringing us that 20% chance for showers and storms.
Let's talk about the weather. It's 79 degrees, so starting to warm up. It's taken a little bit. Why? Because some of us bottomed out in the lower 50s this morning. So we're still, going up about 25 degrees from where we were situated early this morning under clear conditions, low relative humidity values. It's dry. It's warming up. Going to see a sharper warming trend, though, once the noon hour hits. It's now 11:14 right now, looking out over Waco. Pretty beautiful if you ask me. If you're not considering the winds, which are sustained at about 22 miles an hour right now out of the south. You're going to hear me probably say this more than once, but definitely don't want to be burning any brush. There is an elevated risk for grass fires to pop up. We've got windy and dry conditions. It's also getting quite warm out there. 79 degrees in Lampasas right now, 77 in Hamilton. It is 77 as well in Hearn. So upper 70s. We kick off the noon hour very quickly, going up into the 80s and then touching 90 degrees later this afternoon. 70s widespread across the state post cold front from over the weekend. Another cold front entering the northern portions of the panhandle right now. Now, typically it does take a while for them to filter into our neck of the woods. Cold front won't be here until late tonight while we're all asleep. But you see this like creamy color right here stretching basically all over Oklahoma, but also the Red River corridor. That is an even higher risk for grass fires to pop up. And that frontal boundary is going to kick things up a little bit and hopefully help. But overall, we don't have any moisture in the air right now. We've got the sun out. It is going to get quite warm this afternoon, and humidity values are down, down, down. So that's why we're talking about that elevated risk for grass fires to pop up today and tomorrow. It's going to be quite windy out there. Nothing to show you in terms of precipitation with that dry air in place. So how hot are we going to get this afternoon? I mentioned we might touch 90. There may actually be a couple of folks in the 3-4 o'clock hours that are touching 93, 94. 93 Lampasas and Waco this afternoon, 94 in Cameron under mostly sunny of conditions. And again, we could see winds gusting out of the south this afternoon up to 30 miles an hour. Overnight lows, partly cloudy skies, could see a couple of sprinkles. We wake up Tuesday morning with a cold front blasting through the area. Winds are going to shift out of the north. Dry air still going to be in place. We will wake up in the upper 60s, 65 Gatesville, 68 Temple, 73 Cameron. So I mentioned it's going to be warm. It is going to be windy this afternoon. Very, very low humidity values. Cold front hits while we're all asleep. Winds are going to be out of the north, still gusting up to 25, 30 miles an hour. So we still keep the wildfire risk or grass fire risk is going to be persistent through Tuesday as well. So today and tomorrow, highest risk for grass fires to pop up. Technically, there's about a 10% chance I've added to the 7-day that the further southeast that you are, but especially if you are headed southeast of our portion of Texas for a couple of pop-up storms right along that frontal boundary on Tuesday morning. So a couple of sprinkles will be possible, but nothing widespread in terms of rainfall. When are we going to see rain this week? We have a couple of chances on the 7-day forecast. Again, just to recap things, Tuesday, winds out of the north, today and tomorrow, gusting up to 30 miles an hour. Today we're just out of the south, tomorrow out of the north once that front moves through. 10% isolated showers, especially southeast for tomorrow along that frontal boundary and especially early. Wednesday we've got a lull. We'll end up in the lower 80s and be actually quite nice before Thursday rain chances begin. Back half of Thursday, especially that night and especially northwest. I'd put it at about 20-30%, but Friday, best shot for rain at about 40%, and that could go up. Some areas east of 35 between Thursday and Saturday morning could receive upwards of an inch or so of rainfall. Forecasted rainfall, the further east that you are, the higher likelihood that you're seeing those higher rain totals. So haven't seen a map like this in several weeks. Some areas west likely barely receive anything, but decent shots for rain. Again, that window is Thursday through Saturday. Just continuing to watch the tropics, now up to an 80% chance, so very likely that we have a tropical storm on our hands off towards the south here in the next day or so. Here is your 7-day forecast that shows 2 cold fronts. One hits tomorrow morning, keeps us at bay temperature wise. We try to rebound Thursday before the next front rolls through. Good rain chances starting Thursday late, lasting through Saturday early. So a little bit of everything here, and it's got my allergies kicked up with the winds gusting and changing every day or two, Micah. I don't know about you, but I think the ragweed is kind of blowing around.
Here's a look at our tropical overview. So we are tracking a tropical wave that is in the Caribbean, and the Caribbean is very, very hot in terms of sea surface temperatures. They're running in the mid to upper 80s. So there's a high chance of development. Now, some of the steering winds may play a role in weakening that development, but tropical wave MS98L has a high chance of developing really over the next 48 hours. As we take a closer look, you can see the convection associated with the system. It's looking much healthier than it has been as it is moving into those warmer waters. Now, one thing that's going to play a role in the forecast, it's going to make it pretty tricky, is there is a front that's kind of just stalled right here in the northern Caribbean and South Florida. It's going to slowly push south, and as it does so, we have high pressure that's set up over Texas. That's what's leading to our hot conditions, and the winds on this side of the front are getting pushed to the northeast, and the winds on this side of the front are getting pushed from the southeast to from the southwest to the northeast, right? So this system could steer either direction, but the good news is it's going to stay out of the Gulf no matter which way it goes. High pressure, the big reason for that. Taking a look at our skyline, we have clear skies, but areas inland still dealing with that dense fog. You can see it there along the horizon, looking at our Lex camera to the north and west this morning. Very dense fog, creating difficult travel conditions, hazardous travel conditions into the brush country. Alice to Falfurrias to Kingsville, where we're seeing most of that fog, but guess what? That's going to clear as we head into the next hour. So between 9 and 10 a.m., then you're going to see sunshine. You're going to get drier conditions, and your air temperature will make it into the mid to upper 90s. Overnight, be ready for another round of fog. This could impact George West and Beeville again tomorrow morning, as well as Alice and Falfurrias once again. So use caution out on the roads, or be ready to use caution on the roads again tomorrow morning. You see this fog clearing by 10 a.m. and then it's going to be tonight, really heading into early tomorrow morning. We see the chance for that patchy dense fog to form once again. This could, as I mentioned, impact areas a little bit more north tomorrow. So into Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. we'll be watching for inland locations to have another round of that dense fog. That could be anywhere from Falfurrias up towards San Antonio tomorrow. Here's a look at the latest driving conditions from our TxDOT cameras. You can see right here, this was one I recently added. This is FM 10 at US 77 near Bishop. Still, the sun's shining through, but that fog is still really dense. Also, by the way, fog is a typical hazard we start to see this time of year. Sea fog is to come later as our sea surface temperatures start to fall. That's going to be heading into December. So right now, here's a look at Futurecast, where you do see a chance for a little bit of rain with our next frontal system, but it's not going to play a big role in our weather for the week ahead. We're still trending hot with highs in the 90s.